Amazing. And because some people would come up with these ideas and they would actually go on to implement it, I can't imagine how difficult it would be for the first person or the first 100 guys who would do this. And to that point, you also talk about innovation, where one was openness to accept new ideas. Can you give a couple of examples where any of these eras where they said, all right, we should ditch the way that we were doing previously and try to do something different so that we can progress? And the iPhone was one example in 2007, and now we've
Yeah.
got AI. But back in the day, what were those pivotal moments and how did they go about it?
Yeah, trade is one of them. You work long and hard to try to grow some crops to feed yourself, but in some places, like Athens, you didn't have great soil for crop production. And the same goes for the Dutch Republic. I mean, the Dutch Republic in the 16th, 17th century, northwestern Europe, now the Netherlands, they didn't even have land on which to stand.
Right.
So it was difficult to farm anything. And that forced them to be creative. It forced them to be innovative. And it forced them to instead think, is there anything else we can grow or produce? And then instead try to take to the seas, to the oceans, and then find a way to exchange what we produce for the crops of other societies. And Athens did that by then coming up with, okay, let's grow olive trees and vineyards. So great wine and oil could be produced. And instead, they exchanged that for crops from the Black Sea area. In the Dutch Republic, they did that with the Baltic area and especially Poland. And that forced them, the Dutch, then to think of what can we do instead? So they began to experiment with artisanship, with textiles, with new technologies like financial innovation. And oftentimes that was something you borrowed from other places. You had to learn from others. So, for example, the Abbasid Caliphate, the big Muslim Arab civilization in the 8th, 9th, 10th century, they became so powerful because they said, and much unlike many of the other states in that region today, that we have to be tolerant to other ideas. We have to learn. So they extended invitations to Indian scholars and mathematicians to come to Baghdad and to tell them what they've seen, what they had learned, and then translate their works in order to build something new. So borrowing the numerical system, for example, and translating Greek works from Aristotle and others. And on top of that, building their own creativity and coming up with new technologies that no one had ever seen before.
Yeah,